And
It's
this was
been
done.
emphasized pretty
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Make sure we are keeping it separate.
Right, and I don't think we ever had an issue with keeping those funds separate, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
You know, if I lived in one of these communities and I wanted to make a contribution
Yeah,
to get whatever
Absolutely.
for my department, I wouldn't want that money going to someplace else, just someplace else, sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's my statement there exactly. When a person donates that money to Maxwell Fire, Maxwell EMS, whatever, that is to stay there. And what concerns me is if it comes here, then we're gonna lose control of it. You know, it may not be right away, but eventually, it slowly will get to the point where if we want to do something, say, you know, if the money was given to that particular entity, they said, all right, let's have a picnic for the Maxwell firemen. And then we come for the money and it's, oh, no, we can't spend that money that way. You know,
Well, I think that's.
you know, and that's why I'm here, because that, you know, 'cause if people find out it's coming here, they're gonna quit giving.
That's right.
But it's county money though.
Pardon?
It's county money, and I mean, Harold, we can put everything set up in different funds, and if you need to spend money for it, you just submit a voucher like you do everything else.
Well, see, I don't have access to vouchers anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to come up with something else.
Well, it's like any other department, the department head needs to do, submit.
And that's
Well,
where
no,
we start
I can't
losing
see where
control.
this
Okay,
is county money.
it doesn't go quite, this is not county, I don't know that it's really county money. This is
not
Maxwell
county
Fire
money.
Department money.
No, it's-
So, the county, so you would not have to actually have vouchers like the county has. All you would have to do is bring up the bill to be paid, or bill for reimbursement. And actually, that wouldn't even need to go through the county commissioner, because it's, at least the treasurer could just immediately write a check out, or you probably want more than one person on the signature card,
Yeah,
so that
but
that was covered.
can we be guaranteed it will always be that way?
Well, I think
So-
pretty
so,
much, I
you
mean,
know,
that's what,
Well, you know, things have a way of happening. It starts
Well,
out one way and then
but
it
you should
drifts
get,
over and pretty
you should
soon.
get periodic accountings of the money that's in your fund, showing the money that came in, where it was spent, and what balances you have. And that's one of the requirements I would think you would want, is that
Well,
you could track that money all the time,
We've got that.
and you would
already.
have access to the checking account.
Yeah, we have that, and, you know, that, we're involved in it. We know where everything is. It's all taken care of. Everything's
Mhm.
legal, above board,
Mhm.
accounted. You know, we know where the money goes. Although I don't quite know how we'll handle it now that Jim Van Arsdale is gone, because he took care of it.
See,
There
and
is
that's,
money there.
that's the problem you run into, is as people turn over at Maxville, then who's gonna take care of it after that? And how do you know that this next person is going to do what they're supposed to do with the money?
Yeah,
We were involved in a situation
Yeah,
in
but it's-
another community where a new person took over a school activity. It was basically the Athletic Boosters Club. Well, this person just started spending the money for their personal bills.
See that favor.
And that's what can happen when you get a new person in there.
Yeah. Well,
And that's why if you have it with the county up
Yeah.
here, they're gonna think twice about spending money on personal bills.
Yeah, but the way this is set up, it can't be spent that way.
You don't know how it
Well,
can be spent. If someone can write a check, they can spend it any way they wanna spend it.
That's where your multiple signatures should take care of
That
that.
should take care of it, but in this case, it didn't.
Because the bank told me the other day, you can ask for 2 signatures on a check, but it's not their responsibility to make sure there are 2 signatures.
That's right.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
And that's the first time I've ever been told that.
yep,
we don't say that too much.
but that is true.
That's true.
Yeah, they'll let a check go, as long as
It's
that
got a
name's on the
signature.
signature card, it'll go through.
Because it's more the internal
Right.
policy
Right.
that carries it.
JD, is that true?
So, getting back to this, the funds can be,
That's true.
they can have the funds set up individually as they are now, right?
Yes, mm-hmm.
And the only thing would be what? You'd be advisable for her to write, well, that was the case.
Well, yeah, then the treasurer, you've got some control there, because Lisa could not refuse to write a check. If they bring a check up here to be written, she writes the check. I mean, she's just acting as, basically in a fiduciary responsibility to deposit
Just
the
to
funds
do
and
the
write the
paperwork,
checks. Right. And then she can prepare some periodic accountings to give to these various departments, so they know exactly where their money is, exactly how much money they have, and where they spent their money.
And I'd be more than happy to give those reports to you guys too, if it make you feel, more comfortable.
So
I
she'll
don't
be the
think
only
it's us that's
signatory?
gonna have to be uncomfortable or comfortable. I think it's the people that's given this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been so well, I mean, it's been stated that that's exactly the way they want to leave it.
They want to leave it in separate accounts, so for their departments. And I agree with Lee, completely. That's the way it needs to be. That money is
It's
not-
got to be that way.
That money cannot be commingled with the county money. It needs to be in a separate.
But are you
Checking
saying it's
account.
all right to go ahead and leave it as separate accounts like that? And
Yes.
people on it, and then what, they would maybe periodically, or bring the statement up here periodically, so, or does she need, do they need to do that or not?
Jackie, either way, as far as the legality situation goes, either way you do it would be fine. You could leave it exactly like
Well,
it
I
is.
was gonna get that.
That's the way I'd
Something
like
cleared
to
up,
see it,
something,
like it
so we're all
is.
going the same
Right.
direction, not having one
Yeah.
say this, one say that.
But according to your resolution, you're going to keep those in separate bank
Right.
accounts. And the memorial funds would be used in those departments. And presumably, they'd be used for what the person gave the money for. If someone gave $500 to buy, or towards one of these carrying units that they want to use for the department, well, that's what that money should be used for. It shouldn't be used for a picnic.
Yeah, and that's what it will be used for,
Mhm.
if it's stipulated. If not, it's in
It's
the
a
bank.
general fund that you
and,
can use
yeah,
for anything,
Then
yeah.
we do,
Whatever.
something that we need to do. Or,
Right.
the picnic was just an example.
Yeah, exactly.
As, somebody would say, oh no, we can't spend that money that way. Well, it's not, it's our money to spend that way,
Mhm.
unless it's so stipulated that it's supposed to go for a piece of equipment.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But, that's what concerns me, is the fact that we would lose control
Well,
of
who's
the
gonna-
money that the firemen earned by putting their life on the line.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
who's gonna make decisions, what's he gonna spend it for then?
Well, we would just have station meetings, like we do. We have monthly fire meetings at almost all the stations.
I mean, it'd be a joint decision then, you're saying?
Yeah,
not just
it would
one
be,
individual.
the members of, say, St. John Fire, Station 420, or 410, or 470, whatever. We would decide, yeah, let's get this piece of equipment, or let's have a picnic, get everybody together, something like that. It's not just me saying, hey, I'm gonna go do this.
Well, that's.
No, it's
That's what checks and
it's a
balances.
joint,
Yeah.
it's a joint thing by the majority of the, and generally, we all agree, when we have a fire meeting, if we wanna do something like that, we say, yeah, let's do that, let's get this piece of equipment, that, that way, the county hasn't bought us for it, bought it for us, and they don't have to, we'll get our own. And we've done that to Seward several times, we've got several pieces of rescue equipment that, we bought instead of the county.
Right. Sure. And you have fundraisers for those. I mean.
Yeah, we have that, or if someone gives us some money for,
Right.
we go out and put out a fire and they say, hey, here's $500, thank you very much
Mhm.
for saving whatever we saved.
Okay. Now, let's go back to maybe more of a legal or probably a tax-related standpoint. Do you have a nonprofit organization set up that you're filing annual returns for this fund?
I don't know that we actually
I don't
do.
think so, any of them.
I think it's just-
These accounts are chartered nonprofit. I checked
Okay,
with the
are they?
All right, so
Okay.
you're
We
filing,
have our own tax ID number
Yeah, that we do
you're
have.
filing with the IRS every year, showing them your,
under my, that's what I'm understanding.
okay?
Okay,
So
that's
you've
part
gone
of the
through, you've
paperwork.
gone through the paperwork with the IRS to get a nonprofit.
That's
There's
what
one
I'm
organization.
for
understanding.
you then.
It's up to the board, whoever's in charge of it does that, I'm assuming. So,
Well, you want to check on that,
Okay.
because if that's not being done, the IRS can come in and tax you on that.
right.
So all the memorial funds under that too, or just the fireman's relief fund?
All the memorial funds.
And
Yeah, the
everything
Fireman's
else?
Relief Fund, that's through the state of Kansas, and that's
Right.
going to
Well,
be.
no, I'm talking about that other, the Tim Buckman Memorial.
Yes, yes, they are listed
called
under the
fire.
Fireman's Memorial Road.
Yeah.
They're listed under the same accounts.
So they have a different tax ID and they're a nonprofit, so is that something the county still needs to?
If they have a completely separate ID number and they're
They do.
nonprofit, if
They
you got
do.
nonprofit status with the state of Kansas, with Internal Revenue Service, and as long as, if those checks, if their checks are, as long as they're not made out to Stafford County, if they're made out to Maxville or Seward fire departments, then probably, you know, and they're gonna come under the Fireman's Relief Association bylaws, is probably where you have to run those, I would suspect. Because I doubt that you have another nonprofit, because to get a nonprofit designation with IRS is about it's a 20+ page application, which is quite technical to do, because I've done some of it.
Okay, so a check made out to Stafford County Fire Department you're saying does not fall under the county
If it's made
umbrella?
out to Stafford County Fire Department, it does, but if it's made out to the Maxville or one of these other,
If it's made out of Stafford City, then that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, now, if it is so stipulated that, if this person sends us a
Right,
check
okay.
and says, okay, he's made it to Stafford County Fire, but he wants it to go to the Hudson Fire Department.
then you need to put Hudson Fire Department on the
Yeah,
check.
okay, and instead of saying Stafford County Fire Department on it, it would need to say the individual
Right,
station.
yes.
Okay.
If it goes to Stafford County Fire Department, then that's the county.
That's
That's
county.
under the
That's
county.
county, regardless of where you intended it.
Right.
The check would need to be made out to the
Right, to the individual
department.
station, yeah, or department.
Right.
I think most of the EMS deals have been done that way. It's made out either to the Maxville EMS, Stafford EMS, or St. John EMS.
Or Memorial, if you put a Memorial to you, I'd have to put Memorial's.
Right.
So,
Well, I don't know if people are understanding the difference though on this. That is confusing.
Now, do you have, when someone say, okay, here's $500, I want you to buy a new fire pack or whatever it's called, do you have written documentation that they say, I want this, or is this hearsay, or
This
is
is usually, well, sometimes it may be with the memorial, you know, say we have given $500 to be used this way. Sometimes it's not, and then we will just use it, you know, for a piece of equipment, or just put it in the bank in case we need something at a later time, and it just is there collecting interest.
But if I were to write a check to Seward Fire Department for $500 and say, I want you to buy 2 fire extinguishers, or whatever,
Mhm.
is there anything written, is it documented that I have requested that department
Well, yeah, that's.
spend that money for that particular
Yeah, that
item?
would be put in with our paperwork, yes,
Okay.
and then we would spend it, and there would be a receipt, you know, where we bought it. And then it would all be, you know, shown if it was so
Generally, we try to write a
stipulated.
thank you
Yeah,
and acknowledge, you know, like you said, 2 fire extinguishers,
Okay.
we bought 2 special purpose extinguishers.
well, I'm just saying, is it, well, somebody said spend it on it, no, they said to spend it on this, and,
And most
Yeah,
of
so
the
like-
people, when they're gonna make a donation like that, will contact some member of the fire department and say,
Okay.
what do you need?
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, or sometimes they just send us money and say thank you
Mhm.
for saving our property, and then, you know, we put it away and then use it for something, you know, just whatever we need at the station. Sometimes it's station improvements, because the stations, most of them are owned by the cities as opposed to the county owning them.
Right,
And then we'll use it to, you know, maybe fix some lights or something like that, or put in a bathroom, or remodel a bathroom that's in there that's all nasty, and that kind of stuff.
I guess I'm still not clear on this nonprofit other tax ID. Is that something the county, or can that just stay separate then, since the board is taking care of the IRS stuff?
Well, as long as the board,
But
as long as you're
those
legal on
accounts-
your side,
Those
it can
accounts
stay
would need
separately.
to come up to the county then, would they?
But they need to file that annual report with me up here.
The way you're what you're telling me is these are completely separate entities. So they really would not need to file anything
With you.
with the county, because their filing responsibility
It's with
would
the
be
IRS.
with IRS, the state of Kansas, and they need to file every year with the state of Kansas, their annual nonprofit corporation report, and then they would need to file a 990 with the
So as
IRS.
long as they're under that other tax ID number and file with the IRS, it's totally separate stuff.
And as long as the checks are not made out to Stafford
Well,
County.
that's what, how do we know that? How do we know? Because I know that Tim Buckman memorial money was in the EMS, in the county, under the county's federal ID number last year, and they moved it.
Well, weren't all those memorial funds under the county ID number?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so really, was in the county's control in the first place.
It's not them.
It's not now.
But I think that it was designated for a special thing, so it
That's
should
right.
really end up staying.
Pardon?
If it was designated for a special, like Tim Buckman Memorial or something, and if there's funds, so they should have had a separate number to start with, right?
Well, no, that could come, any contribution to any payment to the county would be considered a charitable contribution. So, you know, and I don't know the details of this Tim Buckman Memorial, what that money was to be used for, and or even who the check was made out to. If it was
I
made
don't,
out
I
to,
don't know either.
I can
Stafford
tell you what I
County
made mine out of,
EMS.
the Tim Buckman Memorial Fund.
Tim Buckman Memorial Fund. I get
That's
one
what my
check- I
check
get
was
a
made
check
out to.
Okay.
For that.
But once it was deposited in the county checking account or savings account,
Why was it, what went to the county? Why wasn't it just like these other accounts?
well,
it
they
should
had not set up
They should set a
their
separate
own
account.
federal ID number at that
have
point.
federal ID number, have an individual account to go.
But it wasn't set up that way at this time. They
So-
did that after the fact.
Where's that money now? Is it,
It's over here at Lake.
well, I mean, who has control over it?
The fire department,
Which fire? Which-
under
Not
their
anymore.
federal
Not
ID.
anymore.
Anymore.
Lee and Doris are on that checking account now.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know
But
that.
we said this one, the tax ID
See,
number.
this is stuff I should
is
know.
not, is not the county number.
what's going on.
The number that they have listed on here. I don't know where the bank came up with that number.
That's their federal tax ID.
For that
their-
account?
For their nonprofit organization.
Okay, and that's the same ID number that's on those other three memorial
Yes,
EMS
it's
accounts
listed-
and all
it's-
this fire
Yes,
stuff?
it's listed under the Fireman's Relief Fund. And that
This
therefore-
account is.
Yes, and therefore it's using their.
What
the same
about those
tax ID
EMS
number.
memorial accounts?
They're all under the same thing.
And that paperwork's getting done?
To my knowledge, it is. Like I say, that's.
We need to know.
Who's
Yeah,
got the
we need to
copies?
know.
Yeah.
So,
Who's
But
got
I
the
guess if
copies?
it's
I think
not
this
us.
is just too questionable, and I'd like to see better controls and accountability.
Well, on the fireman or the EMS funds, who controls the expenditures of those? Is there?
on the accounts,
Uh-huh.
whoever's listed on them.
Okay, now, you mean whoever's listed on the check signing decides who to write the checks to?
Yeah.
Or what? So they're not like you don't have like a meeting and decide, just whoever is writing the check decides.
Authorized.
I'm sure
Who's
it has.
ever authorized to sign checks,
It's
just
the
writes
same
checks.
as our station meetings or whatever,
I think-
wherever we decide that,
Disbursements
to
out of
go
those
to.
memorial funds are really rare.
yes.
That is a really rare occurrence.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know, petty cash is still under the 48600806 right?
I think so.
That's different, but the disbursements out of those memorial funds are really few and far between.
Mm-hmm. But I guess my question would be, who decides when to make those disbursements?
Usually when we have a crew meeting, it's discussed and voted. And then who's ever got the signatory rights writes the check.
Mhm.
And usually it's like one person from Stafford and the EMS director, one person from St. John and the EMS director, and one person from Maxwell and the EMS director. It's usually, that's what it used to be.
Right.
I don't know who's on there now.
Well, see, I guess, and maybe this probably doesn't affect the county at all. I guess my question would be, how can you control, there's no accounting, I mean, the people, when you have your meetings, there's no accounting as to what the balances are, or what happened, or who spent, those funds could be spent, someone could just write a check for the entire balance.
Yes, they
How
could.
long would it be before anyone
A
knew
long time.
that that money was not there?
Probably a while. Yeah, it's
I
a
mean,
low
it
life
could,
that would do
and,
that.
well, you wouldn't know until probably you got new people involved and start looking and says, well, what happened to that money? So I think you're really putting yourself at risk by not having
Yeah.
some type of controls over
We've
these
lived for about
assets.
21 years now, then haven't
How much money are we even talking?
Well, you're probably gonna be here another 21
No,
years,
I'm
but at
not.
some point in time, there's
No,
gonna be
I'm
someone
not.
taking your place, and are they gonna be as
I? I'll be in my G
diligent?
chair by then.
But like I say, there's two people in charge of writing the check, there's nothing to, they don't have any minutes at the meeting, they don't have your authorization to spend the money at the meeting, and to check figure on that is, someone comes in, we gotta write a check for do this, and they don't have any record keeping as to how, where the money's spent. And I can see what you're saying, one
I can
good old Joe you don't know about, sometimes going to write a check, clean out the whole thing, take out, and be gone with it, not have any money in there.
That could
Of course,
happen. It definitely
It's
could
happened.
It could happen, but it's not like you're gonna go to Las Vegas and spend $1 million.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, but it could happen, you can see that.
It could happen.
It could
We
happen.
just
happen.
That's why you
operate
have checks
on
and
the principle
balances.
that the person taking care of it,
That's what
or
government's all
people,
about.
if there's more than one signatory,
Mm-hmm,
you trust them.
mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you're not supposed to trust anybody anymore,
Don't
but
trust the
I,
guy, he just takes,
yeah.
he's leaving
but I-
town by folks and money's going.
Maybe that's my downfall. I tend to trust people until they prove me wrong. Then when they prove me wrong, then Katie bar the door.
Then you don't have any money left.
Right,
Yeah,
but he's gone.
But I still have myself, and they don't want me for an enemy. So,
Well, it looks like that somebody better be writing minutes and making,
Somebody better have copies of the IRS stuff on file.
That's what I'm wondering,
Yeah.
is this paperwork really getting done with the IRS?
that I don't honestly
Who
know.
knows?
Yeah, he does.
Well,
know.
we need to
We'll
have
have
to
to
check
find
into
out.
that, because like I say, I mean, how long have I been temporarily in charge? I mean, this gets slammed in my face, and,
Mhm.
you know, I'm still having to dig and try to figure out what I can about this.
I think that'd be important to find out where the copies are of your files,
Okay.
filings. Otherwise, you do the IRS.
I think that's what we need to do, is check this all out before we do anything.
And if there's a separate entity out there, then really, this is not the county's concern.
They got a separate ID number, they take care of filing their returns
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
This needs to be the thing to find out for sure we got some tax returns and.
Right, but
See
if
where we're at.
there's not, if this money is under the county's umbrella, the county doesn't need, then that takes care of all your legal requirements with the government.
Okay.
So if you just put it up, and if you did put it in the county's umbrella, this is gonna be considered a trust fund on the county's books. That money can only be used for these various departments. That's the only thing legally it could be used for. They couldn't spend it for anything for the county, general operations. It would have to be, backfill be used for backfill, sewer be used for sewer. I mean, that's legally, that's how it would have to be spent. And again, I don't know if this is a county problem, but I think from you all's perspective, it certainly gives you a lot more protection to have a good trail of monies coming in and where that money's being spent. Because right now, if someone came back 5 years from now and Tim Memorial says, where was that money spent? If you're not there, if y'all aren't there, you're gonna say, well, I don't know, it's not here now.
Yeah, I can understand
Yeah,
that, but it's.
I mean, that's, I guess, my only point is, and legally, I think you're probably okay the way you are, but you may not be too.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to do some research to make sure that we are.
Yeah,
But, it's always.
It could
we've
save
gone-
you guys a lot of paperwork if you just, like Terry said, if I would just write the checks for you, then you guys wouldn't have to worry about all that paperwork and making sure it's getting filed every year. And, I mean, you're not gonna lose it. I
Well,
mean,
that's my
not,
concern.
my goal is just to, the accountability. And, I mean, we can keep it in all the separate checking accounts, but I could take care of the accountability part for you. That's all my purpose would be, is just the
Not
accountability.
having authority over the funds, just.
Right, I would have no authority, I
Authority,
just
funds to be
account
spent like
for
they
it.
are, it might be a cleaner way to do it.
Right.
Yeah, well, you know, there again, we'll have to,
That
It'll have to be
something we
discussed
discuss with our
as
crews and
groups.
stuff.
you know, but,
But, okay, so they say they're having the paperwork done. Can we go require this paperwork from them? So
No.
it's
It's
just
not
all,
under our,
It's not under your ID number,
So-
right,
mm-mm.
that's it, that's, I mean, that's not,
I,
it's
I'm
not the
not
county's
comfortable with
responsibility.
that.
Well, but it's not the county's money.
It's not the county's money.
yeah.
If it's not, how do we know they're filing their paperwork though, like Nita said, that's
Well, who
something.
cares?
Yeah.
Right,
If,
is
if,
it-
It's
if
not,
if
it's
we're
not
not,
gonna
it's
fall
our
back on
problem.
you anyhow.
Well, if somebody comes to the treasurer's office and says, I donated some memorial money, how is this being spent? If it's the
These
county's
people
money,
answer.
I need to be
Well,
accountable.
if it's counted, it goes to the
And
memorial.
it's not in the county's money,
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, so you're just
deposited
referring
under the
to-
county federal ID
to me
number last
for-
year.
but it's not now.
For the Stewart ones and, you know, probably Stewart or whoever's in charge of the Hudson one. And, you know, maybe just be us.
These checking accounts were closed without my knowledge too. And any checking account that's open or closed with the county's federal ID number, I need to know. That's my job.
Well, it should have its own ID number. Federal ID number.
But they've been moved out, and I think you just look at the money shouldn't have been deposited in the county's ID number to begin with.
Sure,
So,
but,
at least, I don't think you don't have any legal liability on this situation.
That's what I.
Right, and if they come in and ask you, you say, well, that's not county money,
Right.
that's Maxville or, you know, Seward or whatever's.
You don't know how it's been.
Their money, and you need to go talk to them.
Okay, find out if you're legal.
Okay, we'll do some digging.
okay, now Jeff Steele.
Yep.
I think we've got that squared away, actually.
Oh, you
Unless
do?
something changed.
Yeah, Terry had talked to him and I talked to him
Okay,
too.
well,
I didn't know.
Jeff
Yeah.
needs to
Okay,
close those
that's
accounts.
fine.
Right.
I didn't know.
And we are gonna earmark that money for him.
The
for this-
VIN account is the only one I was concerned about, and they said they could.
Earmark.
Okay, well, I didn't know
Right.
you guys were.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right.
Okay.
the meth deals was a pain, because there was money left in that meth grant.
Sounds good. All right,
We don't
thanks a
All
lot.
right, thank you.
Who gets it, we're trying to figure out
Oh, where
who
is
we
it?
have to send it back to, yeah. But other than that, shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, so Terry, what do I need to do to,
I don't think you need to do any, I don't think this is your, legally, I don't think see any responsibility on your part.
okay, well, who needs to make sure that they're doing their paperwork?
They need to.
That's it.
That's their,
It's their deal.
Their balls in their,
I have a right to ask questions, Lee,
but,
because government is all about accountability, and I want to know that things are taken care of properly.
we should have told them they have 30 days or something, but we can't.
We can't, they have it under their separate ID number, so it's.
We don't have any
You don't have
question
any
at all here.
We can't tell them what to
Yeah,
do.
as long as those checks are being made out to those entities, then it's not county money.
And they're the other ones accountable for them. If somebody comes,
And truthfully, there's not that much money there.
I'm sure you're right.
No. But I'm
But
not,
I think it's the ones that want a park bench, or they want a new siren or something, they want to know that their money went to that.
Mhm.
That's right.
And I agree,
Mhm.
but they should take it up, you know, with those fire stations or that EMS station.
well, it's where the problem came is, because they've been giving me copies of these, and then they started telling me that they don't need to give me copies, which I guess
you don't have to.
that's what you wanted, but,
Yeah, I know, it. I think the way it's, well, what I wanted was, I thought the EMS had a county fund there. Those are the ones I was concerned about.
well, they've turned the EMS money into the fire money.
Well, I would just say that
Since
you're
it's not
out
under
of
our
it as
ID
far as
number,
responsibility.
we're out of it.
Right,
Is that
that's right.
how we need to approach this
how it
Yeah,
now?
uh-huh.
Part of that.
Yeah, you are. I still think it would be better situation for them to have more proof that, you know, they're in the money.
Somebody comes back someday and say, what happened to the money?
Right.
But that's not
them.
gonna fall
That's
on Lisa or anybody in
So the
here.
Tim
you
Buckman
all.
Memorial Fund, that's not you guys either?
No.
You do
We
not
don't
have
have
to
anything
answer
to
to
say about that.
anybody?
None.
Okay.
Okay.
It's kinda like a township.
Their own separate entity.
Mhm.
Okay, now we know.
Okay.
If the checks are made out to them, they better be.
Well, there's no way you can, you
Yeah,
can't
I can't
monitor
do
that.
that. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't monitor that.
Right,
Right.
so it's all
No,
their,
I can't.
all their
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah, and then as long as they're filing the right tax returns and annual reports and,
But again, if they are not, it's not
their
gonna come
problem.
back
It's
on
not
us.
no, we'll come back with you.
Well, there are still, a couple EMS funds though, right?
There's petty cash.
And,
There's petty cash, that money comes from the county, so that you do account for it.
Yes.
How about ambulance? Is that your, you have a fund?
I think there's one, is there one over at Maxville too?
What? A petty cash at Maxville?
I
No,
wouldn't
an
think so.
EMS
Memorial?
account. Mhm.
That they rolled back into that number, that other ID number?
No, I think they still,
It's still under your number?
Well, TJ just said they were all under that one number.
But now like the ambulance runs, that was
That
going
goes
to.
into the county.
County.
That goes
Yeah.
into the county,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, there's, yeah.
even if it's memorial.
No, I
To
mean,
pay for an
runs.
ambulance run?
Yeah, this
It's
would
not
be charged.
more
to
That
the
wouldn't-
ambulance.
That'd be like ambulance fees.
Oh, no,
and
they
stuff.
have EMS
Yeah.
memorial money too.
But it's under that other tax ID number,
It's not our,
according to TJ.
but he said.
He told me they were all rolled over under that
That's what he just said
other
in
number.
here
It's,
several times.
00,
But if it's an EMS memorial money,
I haven't been notified that 3 checking savings and accounts have been closed. I have not been notified of
so you
that.
think they're still under your number?
So
Oh, I can find that out.
Well, you-
as far as I know,
Find out-
they're
get that
still,
between
I
Dan
can
and
find
Mark.
that out,
She'll find out for you.
if they'll talk to me.
okay, well, I can call the bank since they haven't told me. I don't know
You
if,
can call them then, yeah, if you want
I
to.
sent you an email on those accounts and it
Yeah.
told you.
But then the EMS people told me they were rolled over into that other nonprofit place, so. I don't
Well, that
know.
was county money.
Well, that was donated money.
Well, it was
That's the
EMS
same-
though.
It's the same, no, it was the same theory of Tim Buckman, so. I think we're on different wavelengths.
Okay, so if it's not, don't have county ID number on it.
Figure it out.
It's not anybody's responsibility up here.
No,
no, it would not be.
That's as clean as we can put it, right?
Uh-huh.
Where's that?
Mhm.
That's where-
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but now, if there's a check that comes made out to the Stafford County EMS department, I think that's county money.
It should go there.
That should go to the county. Yeah, where it's not, now if it goes to, you know, Maxville or
Memorial or something.
Seward or something like that, then that goes to those departments. But if it comes to Stafford County EMS, that's Stafford County EMS serves the whole county.
That's right, I agree.
but most of these people, when they give these memorials, they designate it
Yeah, they do, right.
for that particular one.
Yes, and that's fine, that can stay there.
Yeah.
As long as they don't write the check saying
Stafford
Stafford
County
County
EMS.
EMS, and
Right.
here, this is for.
They should be told out there, that's what's supposed to go right there.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
So we'll,
and I think we talked to Mitch and to his brother over there, and that's where, when they come in, that's what they were told.
Okay, if I were these people in charge of these, I'd certainly want to have some more accounting over that, because, you know, in our firm, the last 2 years, we have seen more fraud than we've seen for.
I said, the
continued
good old
fraud.
guy is not always a good old guy.
That's right.
It's usually an elected official.
No, no.
I don't know, there's,
No, we
we had
haven't
a
seen
little
that.
deal up at school a while back too, I seen, quite an issue over there, it's still.
An elected official is bonded though, like me, I'm bonded. If I would do some fraud, I mean, if I would, I am bonded.
But anyway, I don't think that's the county's problem, from where my
As
standpoint.
Clear it, that was our whole purpose, to clear all that,
Yeah.
and know where was that, and not have one say this, that, and the other.
Right.
So if
Sit
they
down.
move that EMS main to the fire money, are you okay with that?
I think if just going forward, I'd make sure anything the Stafford County EMS stays with the county. I mean, you can set up a separate trust account for that, and you'll build a separate account for that money, but.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, you're welcome. I don't
Do you
know.
want to take that
Well,
or
we
you want me
got
to
the-
mail
Oh,
it?
I'll take that, thank you.
Got some directions to go. Thanks, Terry.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Terry.
Mary, you have something this morning?
No, I'm just listening.
Just listening, well, good to see you up here again.
See you up here.
Yeah,
Good to see
Long
you up
time no
here.
see.
yeah.
Was you down there in Bloomfield, got the break?
No, I hadn't gone yet.
Oh, I see people, I thought about you, I thought, well, she's probably down there.
I called the lady today, and that's why I kinda like coming over. And, she said she didn't see how in the world they could ever have it. Said there was water on that one well, it's clear to the railroad tracks, it's past the grandstand, it's flooded. So, they've got them out the lake, they've got them in Oxford, they've got them in Walmart parking lot.
Said they had them parked different places
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else, Lauren?
Larry Burrows wants you to call. He's the guy from Pratt that you interviewed.
Okay, did we send a letter? Okay. All righty, if nothing
Make a
else,
motion, we adjourn.
we are adjourned.